good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the face of this plane, onto the firmament on this day that the Lord has made. This is your host, Joe Imbriano, the Fullerton Informer. Coming to you live from the 33rd parallel here in the Southwest United States on the woke and broke, busted up streets of Fullerton, California. A city inhabited by myopic, moronic cowards run by criminals, which is a symptom of a larger problem that we find ourselves facing head on, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, the Fullerton Informer, Joe Imbriano, PO Box 4121, Fullerton, California 92834. On the web at thefullertoninformer.com, WiFiDangers.com, CellTowerDangers.com, VaxDangers.com, 5GDangers.com, and the up-and-coming site, NewsomeDangers.com, right? All right, there's a lot of different sites I'm running, folks. You know, I've gotten a lot of contact from people asking me to talk more about this issue. And, you know, I keep getting asked these questions about why this is happening. And, well, the first and foremost reason this is happening is because we are dealing with incredibly powerful weather modification, right? Yesterday, I managed to find another very nice specimen of a barometer in a thrift store. This brings my total number of barometers up to about 17, right? And these are manual devices that can be calibrated. And they're relatively inexpensive, but the beauty is that, you know, when you have that many meteorological instruments, there's very little room for error. And once again, the barometric pressure is up over 30.10 inches of mercury. The wind is out of the northeast at about 18 miles an hour with gusts to about 25. Relative humidity is down in the teens. The temperature is about 73 degrees. The ultraviolet index is about 3, where the sun felt good this morning, I'll tell you. And, of course, there's not a cloud in the sky right now because the high-pressure dome is blowing down towards the low-pressure area off the coast, right? This is the offshore weather condition that is known as a Santa Ana. So the first and foremost reason these fires are happening is because the weather modification has created a tinderbox here in Southern California, whereby we have very low humidity, very powerful winds, very dry conditions, which are conducive to lighting a nice fire and having it take off and burn rather efficiently, right? California, by and large, is the model for the nation. As communist China is the model for the world, California is the model for the United States. And no doubt they're grooming Newsom for a run to the White House in 2028. He's interested. His plans are to run for the office of the president of this corporation. And the more evil he does, the more rewards he's going to get. And when you think about the things that this man has done, I will tell you that the second reason these fires are happening is because we have communists in charge of our government. And by the way, these subversive people are everywhere. They're in every state, in every state house, on every city council, on every school board. In every aspect, the board of the regents of colleges and universities. You know, if you haven't figured it out yet, the entire educational system is run by communists. Did you know that? If you understand communism is a wind-up toy created by the deniers of Jesus Christ to impoverish and murder and destroy and topple governments, regimes, and societies, to subject them to a satanic, godless, impoverished, bloodletting cult of endless wars and destruction and subversion and perversion and starvation and violence and just all kinds of evil things for their father, the devil. Okay? Now that we've got that on the table under the halogen or the 6,500 Kelvin fluorescent or the 5,000 Kelvin daylight LED light with a nice big magnifying glass over the top of it, now you can understand why this is happening. The goal with communism is to destroy the family, to eliminate God from society, to eliminate all forms of freedom, to eliminate all morality, to eliminate all independent ownership of property and wealth, to eliminate all freedom of travel, to eliminate everything that is good, everything that is wholesome, everything that is loving, everything that is just, everything that is good, everything that is respected, everything that is productive is being destroyed by the communists. Now, if you follow the legislation like I do in Sacramento, and I've got some contacts that still roam the halls up there, everything that is being spit out of the printer in Sacramento, in the Assembly or the Senate, is a communist piece of legislation designed to take things away from people that work, designed to take things away from people that have, designed to take things away from people that are productive, and give it to drug addicts and illegal aliens and people that irresponsibly live their lives and feel entitled to things that they are not entitled to, but are handsomely rewarded for being the tools for these evil, wicked communists. And by the way, you think you're on the receiving end of all this stuff. Well, all this receiving end stuff has a cost. And when they come and tell you, okay, well, it's time for you to get up to date on all your vaccines. You got to take this vaccine. You got to take this vaccine. Oh, if you want to live here, you got to, put this air conditioning system in, and you got to put these lights in, and you got to put the Wi-Fi system in for the whole building. And, there are conditions for the free stuff, including all the medical visits that are mandated for your children and you. And, someone had sent me a list from this Medicaid insurance company that operates in Southern California, and they're actually trying to bribe old people to go in for flu shots, for testing, for diabetes. I mean, get this, man, they're doing mammograms on 80-year-olds, right? They want to do they're giving rewards for old people to go to the doctor, okay? I mean, this is just absolutely crazy, all right? But the goal is to get everybody into some sort of form of control so they can be subverted, all right? Now, there's a lot of ways that's done. It starts in the schools. I always hit on the schools because the schools are very much openly, overtly communist, okay? They're socialist, communist re-education facilities built like prisons, staffed by myopic people that literally look the other way for their paycheck. And they choose a special breed to work for them because, the price is pretty low. I mean, if, you want to push the virus narrative, or you want to push the, the allopathic medical system's place of preeminence in society for $100,000 a year, well, there's your price, right? 6 figures, you'll sell your soul. Well, that's not my problem, because my soul's worth a lot more than that, infinitely worth more than that. And that's why I do what I do. But folks, the reason this place is on fire is because the quickest way to do land grabs is to burn it down, okay? Now, there's a variety of reasons why they want that land. By and large, the major reason that area is burned up and being burned up is its proximity to a military base, okay? And just off of Point Magoo, I've talked about what goes on out there and what goes on under the land and how they got submarines that go under the continent and everything else. And, I did a video on the dive boat conception. It's, on Labor Day weekend of 2019, these people who got together all the time and did annual dives. That's right, dives. They went under the ocean with cameras. Experienced divers who went under the ocean with cameras. Experienced camera people who go under the ocean, right? And this boat allegedly caught fire from a battery charger. And, the skipper and his first mate were asleep up on the top at 4 o'clock in the morning, and he had to jump in the water in his underwear with his buddy while everybody else below deck just burned alive. And we're told that it was because of a lithium battery charger fire, right? Okay. And okay, that's bad. A lot of people died on it. That's horrible. Okay. And these were people that did this every year. That boat ran for decades, taking out thousands of people on multiple trips over the 40-year period it ran. And this time it just, I think it was blown up because I think they had footage of something under the water, or the government was afraid they had footage of something under the water. And you could look up, as a matter of fact, I'm going to post a link to the video I did 5 years ago on the dive boat conception disaster, because there's all these different narratives for it. But there definitely was something fishy going on there, because as soon as the boat was blown up or allegedly caught on fire and sank or whatever, the military and the federal agencies, the alphabet agencies, all raided the owner of the company's house and his business and took all his computers. Now, I'm sorry, but when you have an accident, the NTSB shows up, the FBI shows up, the military shows up, the Coast Guard shows up, the police show up, the sheriff shows up. I think the ATF even showed up. Everybody showed up to this guy's house and this guy's business and took all his computers, raided his house. Like, this guy's just running a business. Okay, well, if there's a plane crash of a private charter jet service, I don't think that kind of turnout's going to be necessary to figure out what happened to the plane. They were more worried about what this guy had in his safe or on his flash drive or on his hard drive, in my opinion. But here we go. Now the whole place is up in smoke. And, there's all this talk about the smart city business. That could be part of it. But you know what? By and large, LA is already a smart city, folks. All the trees are cut down. All the 5G stuff's gone in. The cable's laid. Everything's designed to have the signals bounce off the glass buildings and off the homeless tarps. That's already done. They're ready. But Pacific Palisades to the north was kind of an anomaly, because like I said before, most of the people that live there worked for the agents of subversion in Hollywood and media and military and government. And what happened was tragic, folks. But, and there was also a lot of evidence destroyed in this fire, including a lot of photographic evidence of stuff, like some of these rich people are into, you know what I'm saying? Gosh, it's no secret when you look back to the McMartin preschool fiasco and how they allege there were tunnels that run under, these buildings and, up in Laurel Canyon. That's a whole separate discussion. That's where all the musicians came from in the 60s that got everybody to tune in, turn on, and drop out, right? And you got all these military children writing songs and making music, like Jim Morrison, right? And his dad was the admiral that got us into the Vietnam War, right? And break on through to the other side. The day destroys the night, the night divides the day. Try to hide, break on through to the other side. All satanic, drug-induced delirium lyrics to make our children crazy as they feed them into a meat grinder to go die in the desert or die in the jungle. We are controlled by communists and you stupid idiots to keep voting for free stuff. You are energizing Mao Zedongs or, Deng Xiaoping's or, Pol Pot or the Khmer Rouge or any of these guys out of Southeast Asia or Lenin or Stalin, or Castro. Karen Bass was going to Cuba, for crying out loud, twice a year for years. The mayor of Los Angeles is a card-carrying communist. She's part of a revolutionary group that has committed acts of terrorism inside the United States. And she's the mayor of Los Angeles. And where was she this time? In some African nation, which is probably run by communists, getting some medal somewhere or installing something or for some whatever. My point is you don't take hundreds of millions of dollars away from the fire department and give billions of dollars to drug addict homeless guys for free housing and free porno and free heroin, because that's what this amounted to. And then at the state level, you got Newsom, who wants to be president, giving free health insurance to illegal aliens, free school to illegal aliens, free medical, dental, housing, food stamps to illegal aliens, all this free stuff. Billions and billions and billions of dollars. In the meantime, I got an email from somebody that has connections with the high school over there in Pacific Palisades, and there were several attempts to contact the Department of Water and Power and explain why the fire hydrants had very little pressure. And this was months and months before this happened. The LADWP know damn well about how some of these hydrants weren't pressurized properly. And look, the main reason, aside from the fact that we are dealing with communists that are burning things down and destroying things intentionally, whether it's through a wind-up fake virus pandemic that destroys businesses, or whether they're professional arsonists that are military grade, military skilled, military trained, high level, maybe international intelligence agency guys, lighting these fires, triangulating them with the timing to coincide with the weather modification event. We've got a situation whereby everybody was told to leave and abandon their homes. And there are two water systems in that region, folks. There's the municipal water supply that runs through the water mains that go into the homes, the residential and commercial water systems. And then there's a separate system that runs the hydrants. If the people would have stayed with their garden hoses, this would not have happened. And I'm sorry, I'm going to hear people tell me, oh, no. There are people who saved their house and their neighbor's house with a garden hose in Pacific Palisades. I got a guy, one man in his 70s, saved his home and two of his neighbors' home with a garden hose. He didn't leave. Now, I've dealt with fire before, folks, and I've dealt with how fire moves really fast and how quickly you can extinguish things with a hose. But if you let it go, it's a matter of timing. If you're not there to put out the little one that starts here and the little one that starts there, and they all connect, you're doomed. And that's what happened. Everybody left. The fire department never showed up. They let the place burn to the ground. Why? Well, they cut the budget. You got inept morons working in the department. The water pressure was reduced because of lack of availability. And, of course, you have professional arsonists who even, is leaking out in the media. I think Mel Gibson was talking about how his son's involved in some sort of a volunteer brigade of firemen where they actually caught somebody who was fully equipped, professionally equipped to start a fire, and they corralled this guy and waited for the police to show up, and the police came and no charges were filed against this arsonist who was caught red-handed in the act with full gear lighting fires in the middle of this event up in the canyon. So we got at least one agent of subversion working for God knows who on this, obviously, no doubt, working with these communist murderers, because these people have murdered people to the tune of hundreds of millions over the last 100 years, if you haven't figured that out. So, it's like, here we go again, right? Guys get caught red-handed, no charges are filed, I mean, kind of reminds me of 9/11 when I think these Mossad assets were dressed up as Arabs, and they got busted with a van full of explosives trying to blow up a bridge, and no charges were filed. They were just sent back to Israel. But here we go again with the same kind of stuff happening where we catch people red-handed in a disaster and they get away with it because the agencies are involved. We've got a situation on our hands where your children in high school are being taught the Communist Manifesto. We've got a situation on our hands where young adults are going to college and being taught communism. We have a situation on our hands where children are being turned into idiots by the curriculum with the Common Core. And then we have the media and the music and everything working, to subvert and destroy our young people and even the adults, to where the adults are playing video games or watching cartoons. And they're either drinking or smoking their breakfast, thinking that the money is going to save them as they continue to go back and get more medications. Meanwhile, back on the ranch, we got this guy in Sacramento that signs every law that works against everything that my mom and dad and their mom and dad and their moms and dads worked for and died for, to raise a family, to run a business, to make a living, to raise children, to fall in love, to live free, to sleep without fear of being robbed or kidnapped or having your children abducted for organ harvesting and, child trafficking and everything else. And we've found ourselves in a society where everything's got graffiti on it. All these weirdos are driving around with fake IDs. The police aren't pulling anybody over anymore. And all these people here from all over the world with God knows what kind of criminal records are getting literally all kinds of free stuff. And then when I go to try to use some of the things that I pay for with my tax money and all the school bond measures on my property tax, I can't even get a spot to register one of my children for one of these junior colleges because I'm on a 6-month waiting list because my daughter's not a transgender or an illegal alien. And so she's got to wait in the back of the line because her parents have a job and we were born here, but yet it's my parents' tax money that built the schools, and it's my tax money that keeps them running. But yet my children can't access these things. Why? Because we have communists in the superintendent's office, of the chancellor's office, of the board of regents office, because these people are communists, folks. And what they do is they make sure that hardworking, honest, moral, ethical people are screwed. They take all their money. You start making any money, half your check disappears. You run a business, half your business income disappears. And then they'll come after you with all these regulations and, all this air pollution requirement stuff. But it's okay for them to burn down entire communities, right? But if you want to open anything here, you got to have all these scrubbers on your exhaust plumes and everything else. Oh, no. But yeah, if they want to burn down, 10,000 houses, they just pay some guy to show up with full gear and a, oxygen tank and a couple of torches. And, drop them into the canyon and make sure that all the cameras are turned off and then let them go to town. Then they'll arrange for a pickup of the guy. In the meantime, the border's wide open and they can't find anybody coming into this country. But the minute that Kobayashi gal disappeared, they found her crossing the border by herself. Isn't that amazing how they found this supposed person that was missing? They got the footage of her crossing the border, but they don't know who's coming into this country. It's not funny, folks. This isn't funny anymore. Because the next thing they're going to do is they're going to destroy the food supply. And I've talked about this because now, as everybody's watching the fires and all the coverage of this tragedy, the next thing that's coming is the bird flu. And by the way, you're not going to be able to get eggs. You're not going to be able to get meat. You're not going to be able to have backyard chickens. And you're not going to be able to work without a vaccine. You're not going to be able to buy or sell without a vaccine. You're going to have to take the meds that Donald Trump's going to make you take. And don't kid yourself, folks. He's in on it, too. He's not going to solve anything. He's part of the problem. As a matter of fact, Donald Trump is the sleeping gas. He's the one they put in to carry out the finalization of these plans, right? Right before Newsom, because he's going to come in and he's going to run all this far-right extreme. Let's go... let's go take over Greenland and Mexico, and let's conquer these lands and make them part of the United States. Even though the United States literally already owns Canada through the monetary system and through the Uniform Commercial Code. Whether you believe that or not is up to you, but it does. And that's why they're going to merge all this place into a big North American Union, and the world's going to be in these big 10 kingdoms, right? That's where this thing's heading. And in order to get us into a kingdom and turn this place into an existence of serfdom, they have to collapse it. And the best wind-up toy to collapse a society is what? Communism. Because why? Everybody loves free stuff, and they'll look the other way. As long as you get your free, ding-dong or bong or bottle or whatever it is, you'll vote for these scum. And even if you don't vote for these scum, they'll just put them in with rigged elections. And you'll think they won because, that's just what they do. All these elections, by the way, all these electronic voting machines are no different than all the slot machines in Las Vegas. They're all remote controlled and rigged. They're like the Wi-Fi routers in the schools that are weaponized and remote controllable so they can turn them on and knock the children out, blame a fake virus, and then take them away, right? Look. They've been working on this for a long time. They've had over 100 years to get this thing to the point of where it's at, and they've had over 100 years to turn all the people into idiots. Now you see all these people just walking around, with hooking up their exhaust pipe to their intake manifold, okay? And we've got a society that largely only cares about what they can buy, what they can get, and, waxing their new cars. In the meantime, Rome burns, 20 miles away, 30 miles away from where I'm at. And, I come home from work and I see these people just going about their life like nothing's happening. Dust all over their cars and ashes all over everything, and they're still going out to dinner, going shopping as life goes on. Why? Because the communists have created a system where nobody cares about anybody but themselves. And that's why it's okay for your neighbor to get murdered or his house burned down or robbed or framed or executed or kidnapped or raped or organ harvested. You won't care, because as long as it doesn't affect you or your family, you don't care about anybody else. And that's what the communist model does to your morality. There is no God. There is no conscience. There is no right or wrong. All the churches are subverted. They've had their nuts cut off. Just go to any church now, and it feels like you're in a college lecture hall with Trotsky's cousin running the thing. I mean, it's unbelievable. And here we are. The reason for the fires is very simple, folks. It's a slash and burn land grab for the communists to destroy an area of affluence for the people that served the deniers of Jesus Christ for decades in Hollywood, in government and military and medicine. And now they're done with them. And when you serve these people, like I said before, when you serve these people, they're going to kill you. They're going to destroy your life. They're going to ruin your children. They're going to burn your home down, or destroy your house, or crash your plane, or remote control your car into the center divider. When they're done with you, they sacrifice you. Okay, that's what they do. That's how it works. And Palisades, it was a beautiful place. There's some good people that were there. There's a lot of bad people that live there too. I'm not kidding. Do you know how many actors and actresses live there? It was an enclave for Hollywood, folks. And let me tell you something. It's done. And they've put up their big middle finger to all the people that serve them in these industries, okay? That's what they did. And guess what now? Guess what now, folks? They're going to build it back bigger and better and resilient, and with Wi-Fi, high-density apartments, with LED lights, and 5G everywhere. And that's their plan. But the reason they're burning it up is because they're communists and they hate us, okay? And they want to transform our society into one from, the Leave It to Beaver, mom and dad, family, keep your doors open, go to the ice cream shop and go on a date, to one in which you're a worker bee slave like you are in communist China, where you have a biometric identifier that allows you to get through the kiosk, to get into your government-funded apartment, and then you'll have to use your biometric identifier in your government-funded apartment, on your government-sponsored, paid-for internet, on your government-run internet, to log into your computer, and then you'll have to have a biometric identifier for you to go to the bank, get a job, and to access your money and go shopping in the stores. And you got to be up to date on all your vaccines. And if your social credit score is in the negatives like mine is, because I speak out against all the government policies and all the evil and all the filth and all the scum and all the murderers and liars and sterilizers and forced irradiators and all these other evil things of the medical system, guys like me, man, I'll lose a few pounds, I guess, right? Because I won't be able to go in and get myself something to eat, because they'll take my ability away to bank and buy. Because that's the model, folks. I won't be able to get on a plane, train. I won't be able to have an automobile. They're going to do away with the cars, right? You have to use public transit. You won't be able to get on public transit without a biometric identifier. And your biometric identifier is programmable. They can just shut it off. Where you won't be able to buy, sell, or travel because you said something they didn't like, you did something they didn't like, or they're afraid of your ideology, or you didn't get your injections on time. That's where this is heading, folks. The United States is being taken down by communists. Karen Bass is a card-carrying communist. There's no doubt about that. That's a verifiable fact. Communists kill, destroy, rob, steal, murder, pillage, bomb, and rape. That's what communists do. And they have to teach you about that because they can't hide it, although they've hidden a lot of it. But by and large, communism is of the devil. It's an atheistic, satanic operation. And we have people in California in positions of power running everything from the governor's office all the way down to your planning commission that are card-carrying communists pushing Agenda 2030 Hunger Games models for social reengineering of your cities to where you can't live where there's trees, you can't live where there's a well, you can't have a swimming pool. You got to live in a stack and pack with a government-controlled Wi-Fi hotspot that can irradiate you and cook your genitals, give you insomnia, take your breath away, give you cancer, give you a heart attack, and seal you in a room, in a building where the windows don't open because the government pays for the building, the government pays for the air conditioning, the government pays pays for the electricity, and you pay a reduced rate because you want to falsify your income because you're running a business, and you're stealing all the money, you're not paying your sales tax, underreporting your income so you keep your income below threshold, so you can only pay 30% of your income for your rent in one of these nice low-income neighborhood housing projects, right? But guess what? They've got weaponized air conditioning, weaponized Wi-Fi, and weaponized lighting in this place. And that you're living in, you think you're getting a deal? Boy, they're getting a deal, folks, because they got you under their thumb. And that's the goal, folks. So, by the way, if you're in Southern California and it's, you're in a fire-prone area, go out and buy yourself a firefighting pump for your swimming pool. They cost about $300 to $400. They'll save your house. By the way, if you're in Southern California in a fire-prone area, buy some of those high-pressure garden hose nozzles. This guy saved his house and 2 other neighbors' houses with one. This man saved 3 houses with a $10 nozzle on his hose. I'm going to repeat, the Department of Water and Power didn't lose pressure on the municipal water supply. They lost pressure in the hydrant system. And they told everybody to leave. They told everybody to get out, okay? And you know what everybody did? They ran like hell, took their cars with them, piled all their cars up all along the roads with all their valuable possessions, left them there to be looted and burned and bulldozed by the fire trucks that never came. And as a consequence, thousands and thousands of homes, thousands and thousands of people's lives have been destroyed. And in the process, a lot of photographic and video evidence and blackmail stuff that was up in that area is all destroyed as well as all of the vantage point to look out over the ocean to see what's going on under the coast off of Point Magoo. All right. This has been your host, Joe Imbriano, the Fullerton Informer. I've said enough. You need to understand that we are under attack. I've mentioned that we're under attack. They're going to continue moving forward if everybody stays stuck on stupid, ladies and gentlemen. My goal is, in the name of Jesus Christ, to make sure that that stops. All right? Take care, ladies and gentlemen. In the name of Jesus Christ, stand tall, stand courageous, tell the truth, and who cares what people think, folks, because the truth stands on its own. In Jesus' name we go. Take care, folks.